You've spent so long wearing a mask that you've forgotten what your real face looks like. Every day, you wake up and put on the version of yourself that feels safest, the one that smiles when you want to cry, the one that says, "I'm fine" when your heart is breaking, the one that hides your light because the world once told you it was too bright. You move through life like an actor on a stage, reciting lines you never wrote, playing roles you never chose. You wonder if anyone sees the real you, or if you've become invisible behind the armor you built to survive. You remember the first time you learned to hide. Maybe it was a harsh word, a broken promise, a moment when your truth was met with silence or shame. You carry the memory of that moment, like a stone in your pocket. It weighs you down, but you're afraid to let it go. Afraid that if you drop the mask, you'll be exposed, vulnerable, unprotected. You ask yourself, who am I beneath the pain? Who would I be if I stopped pretending? You long to feel whole again, to belong to yourself, to stand in your own skin without apology. But the fear is real, the fear of being rejected, misunderstood, or simply not enough. You wonder if you're the only one who feels this way, if everyone else has figured out how to be real while you're still lost in the roles others gave you. You remember the times you tried to show your true self, only to be met with confusion or criticism. You learned to shrink, to edit your words, to dim your light so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable. You became an expert at blending in, at saying what people wanted to hear, at hiding the parts of yourself that felt too raw, too wild, too honest. You look in the mirror and see a stranger staring back. You search for the spark you once had, the dreams you once chased, the laughter that used to come so easily. You wonder if you'll ever find your way back to the person you were before the world taught you to hide. You feel the ache of not belonging to yourself. It's a quiet pain, a longing that sits just beneath the surface, a whisper that grows louder in the silence. You crave the freedom to be real, to be messy, to be whole. You ask yourself, what would it feel like to drop the mask? What would it mean to let the world see the real me? You imagine a life where you could show up as you are, without fear, without shame, without the need to prove or perform. You remember the moments when you felt most alive, when you laughed without holding back, when you spoke your truth even if your voice shook, when you let yourself be seen, even if only for a moment. You long for more of those moments, for a life that feels like it belongs to you. You wonder if it's possible to reclaim your true self after pain, to gather the scattered pieces and make something beautiful from what's been broken. You hope that somewhere beneath the scars, your real self is waiting for you, patient, resilient, and ready to come home. Wearing a mask to survive, you forget the shape of your own soul. Afraid to show your real face, you hide your light from the world. Lost in the roles others gave you, you wonder if you'll ever feel whole again. Longing to break free, you ask, who am I beneath the pain? This is where your journey begins, not with certainty, not with perfection, but with the courage to ask the question. What if your true self is waiting for you beneath the pain? If you're tired of pretending, if you're longing to feel real, if you're ready to find your way back to yourself, this message is for you. You are not alone in this struggle. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not defined by the roles you've played or the masks you've worn. You are exactly where you need to be to begin. You wake up some mornings and feel like you're living in someone else's life. You go through the motions, but deep down, you're not sure who's steering the ship. You wonder if you're the person you used to be, or if pain has rewritten your story so many times that you've lost the plot. You look at old photos and barely recognize the smile. You remember dreams you once had, but now they feel like postcards from a place you can't return to. You ask yourself, is this really me? Or am I just a collection of habits, memories, and scars? You try to fit into the expectations that others have for you. You wear the labels they gave you, strong, reliable, quiet, funny, whatever made you feel safe. But sometimes, those labels feel like clothes that don't fit anymore, itchy and tight, reminders that you've outgrown the person you were pretending to be. You feel the tension between who you are and who you think you should be. You want to be honest, but you're afraid of what you'll find if you peel back the layers. You wonder if your true self is too much, too sensitive, too complicated for the world to handle. You notice how you edit yourself in conversations, how you hold back your opinions, how you laugh at jokes that don't land just to keep the peace. You wonder if anyone would still love you if you stopped performing, if you let your real thoughts and feelings spill out. You question your own reflection. You stare into your eyes and search for a spark, a sign that the person inside is still alive. You wonder if you've been hiding for so long that you've forgotten how to come out. You remember the times you tried to be authentic, only to be misunderstood or rejected. You learned to keep your guard up, to play it safe, to avoid the risk of being hurt again. You wonder if it's worth it to try, if it's safer to stay hidden, if the world is ready for the real you. You feel like a stranger in your own life. You walk through familiar places, but everything feels distant, like you're watching yourself from the outside. You wonder if you'll ever feel at home in your own skin again. You doubt your worth after being hurt. You replay the words that wounded you, the moments that made you question your value. You wonder if you're lovable, if you're enough, if you deserve to take up space. You search for the real you beneath the scars. You peel back the layers of pain, of disappointment, of fear, hoping to find something soft and true underneath. You wonder if you'll recognize yourself when you finally see what's been hidden. You ask yourself, what if I'm not who I thought I was? What if my true self is nothing like the person I've been pretending to be? You worry that you'll disappoint the people who love you, that you'll lose the connections you've worked so hard to keep. You notice how you compare yourself to others, measuring your worth against their achievements, their confidence, their happiness. You always come up short, always find a reason to believe you're not enough. You feel the ache of not belonging to yourself. You crave the freedom to be real, to be messy, to be whole. You want to stop hiding, but you're not sure how. You wonder if anyone else feels this way, if anyone else is searching for themselves in the aftermath of pain, if anyone else is longing to come home to their own heart. You ask, how do I find my way back? How do I trust that my true self is worth loving, even if the world doesn't always understand? You imagine a life where you can show up as you are, without fear, without shame, without the need to prove or perform. You dream of a day when you can look in the mirror and see someone you're proud of, someone you're happy to know. Unsure who you are now, you search for a spark of truth. Feeling like a stranger in your own life, you long to come home. Doubting your worth after being hurt, you wonder if you're enough. Searching for the real you beneath the scars, you hope for a new beginning. You may not have all the answers. You may not know exactly who you are yet. But you're still searching, still hoping, still trying, and that is enough for now. You carry the burden of old wounds like a backpack you can't set down. Every step you take, you feel the weight of memories pressing into your shoulders. It's not just the pain of what happened, it's the heaviness of what you've hidden, the parts of yourself you've locked away to survive. You remember the nights you lay awake, replaying conversations that left you feeling small. You hear the echo of words that cut deep, the silence that followed when you needed comfort most. You wonder if you'll ever be able to let go of the stories you tell yourself about who you are and who you're supposed to be. You feel the exhaustion of pretending to be okay. You smile when you want to scream, nod when you want to say no, laugh when you want to cry. You become an expert at hiding your truth, at blending in, at making yourself invisible so you won't be hurt again. You notice how you shrink in the presence of others, how you apologize for taking up space, how you downplay your needs to avoid conflict. You wonder if you're allowed to want more, to ask for what you need, to be seen for who you really are. You sense the ache of not belonging to yourself. You feel like a guest in your own life, always waiting for permission to be real. You long for the freedom to speak your mind, to follow your heart, to trust your own instincts. You carry the silence of unspoken dreams. There are things you want to do, places you want to go, parts of yourself you want to explore, but fear keeps you quiet. You worry that if you reach for what you want, you'll be judged, rejected, or left behind. You feel the fatigue of living someone else's story. You've spent so much time trying to fit in, to meet expectations, to be what others needed, that you've lost touch with your own desires. You wonder if you'll ever find the courage to write your own script, to live a life that feels true to you. You notice how your body holds the weight of your pain. Your shoulders tense, your jaw clenches, your breath becomes shallow. You carry stress in your muscles, anxiety in your stomach, sadness in your chest. You realize that healing isn't just about your mind, it's about your whole being. You feel the heaviness of pretending to be strong. You've learned to put on a brave face, to keep going no matter what, to never let anyone see you break. But inside, you're tired. You're tired of holding it all together, tired of being the one everyone relies on, tired of never letting yourself fall apart. You sense the loneliness of not recognizing your own reflection. You look in the mirror and see someone who's survived, but you're not sure who that person is anymore. You wonder if you'll ever feel at home in your own skin, if you'll ever be able to look yourself in the eye and say, "I love you." You carry the burden of living with regret. You replay choices you wish you could change, opportunities you let slip away, moments when you betrayed your own heart. You ask yourself if you'll ever be able to forgive yourself, if you'll ever be able to move forward without dragging the past behind you. You feel the ache of not being understood. You try to explain your pain, but words fall short. You want someone to see you, to hear you, to know what it's like to live with this weight. You wonder if anyone else feels the same, if anyone else is searching for a way to be whole again. You notice how you avoid your own needs. You put others first, hoping it will make you feel worthy, but it only leaves you feeling empty. You give and give, but struggle to receive. You listen to everyone else, but silence your own voice. You sense the fatigue of always trying to fit in. You mold yourself to match the people around you, afraid that if you show your true colors, you'll be left alone. You wonder if you'll ever find a place where you belong, not because you fit in, but because you're finally being yourself. You feel the weight of your own expectations. You set impossible standards, then punish yourself for falling short. You compare your journey to others, always finding reasons to believe you're not enough. You ask yourself, how much longer can I carry this weight? How much longer can I keep hiding? How much longer can I deny my own truth? Carrying the burden of old wounds, you long for release. The heaviness of pretending to be okay leaves you exhausted. The ache of not belonging to yourself keeps you searching. The silence of unspoken dreams reminds you of what's possible. This is the weight you carry, the burden of not living as your true self. It is heavy, but it is not forever. It is real, but it is not the end of your story. You are not alone in this struggle. There are others who know this weight, who have felt this ache, who are learning, just like you, to put it down. And as you move forward, you will begin to see that this heaviness, as crushing as it feels, is not your destiny. It is the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter where you learn to embrace your true self, not because you're perfect, but because you're ready to be real. There comes a moment when you realize you've been living in a costume, stitched together from other people's expectations and your own fears. You start to see that the pain you've carried isn't just a wound, it's a signal, a message from your soul that you're ready for something more. You begin to wonder what would happen if you stopped hiding behind the mask and let your real face breathe. You notice the small cracks in your old armor, a laugh that escapes when you're not thinking, a tear that falls when you finally let your guard down, a dream that returns in the quiet hours of the night. You realize these moments aren't weaknesses, they're glimpses of your true self, fighting to be seen. You start to question the rules you've lived by. Who said you had to be perfect to be worthy? Who decided that your quirks were flaws, that your feelings were too much, that your dreams were out of reach? You realize that many of the beliefs you hold about yourself were never really yours. They were borrowed from voices that didn't know your heart. You begin to see your pain as a teacher, not a jailer. You understand that every scar is a story, every disappointment a lesson, every heartbreak a doorway to deeper understanding. You stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What can I learn from this?" You notice how your perspective shifts when you allow yourself to be curious instead of critical. You start to explore the parts of yourself you used to hide, the passions you set aside, the opinions you silenced, the creativity you buried. You realize that your uniqueness is not a liability, but a gift. You begin to understand that embracing your true self is not about erasing your past, but about integrating it. You see that the person you are becoming is shaped by every experience, every choice, every moment of courage, and every moment of doubt. You realize that you can honor your journey without letting it define your future. You start to let go of the need for approval. You recognize that not everyone will understand your path, and that's okay. You stop shrinking to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. You begin to trust that the right people will be drawn to your authenticity, not your performance. You notice how your energy changes when you stop pretending. You feel lighter, freer, more at ease in your own skin. You find yourself laughing more, worrying less, and feeling a quiet sense of pride in simply being who you are. You realize that healing is not about becoming someone new, but about remembering who you were before the world told you to be someone else. You start to reclaim the parts of yourself you left behind, the child who loved to dance, the teenager who dreamed big, the adult who still believes in possibility. You begin to practice self-acceptance, not as a destination, but as a daily choice. You remind yourself that you are allowed to be a work in progress, that you can love yourself even as you grow, that you can be both healing and whole at the same time. You see that your true self is not something you have to invent, it's something you have to uncover. It's the quiet voice that whispers yes when you're on the right path, the spark of excitement when you try something new, the sense of peace when you honor your own needs. You start to believe that you are worthy of love, not because you're flawless, but because you're real. You realize that the world doesn't need another copy, it needs your original, unfiltered, unapologetic self. You remind yourself, my pain is a signal, not a sentence. I am allowed to be curious about who I am. My uniqueness is my strength. I can honor my journey and still move forward. You begin to trust that you can handle whatever comes next. You know that you have survived every hard day so far, and that you have the resilience to keep going. You start to see yourself as your own ally, your own advocate, your own safe place. You realize that embracing your true self is not a one-time event, it's a lifelong journey. It's a process of shedding old skins, of letting go of what no longer fits, of stepping into the light even when you're afraid. You are not defined by your pain. You are defined by your willingness to grow, to learn, to show up for yourself again and again. This is the turning point. This is where you stop running from your reflection and start welcoming yourself home. You are not lost. You are not broken. You are becoming. Healing is not a single act, but a series of gentle choices you make for yourself, day after day. It's the way you start to treat your own heart as something precious, not something to be fixed or hidden. You realize that growth is not about becoming someone new, but about allowing the real you to step forward, even if your voice shakes. You begin by listening to the quiet signals your body and soul send you. You notice when you need rest, when you crave laughter, when you long for silence. You honor those needs, not as weaknesses, but as invitations to reconnect with yourself. You create small rituals that anchor you in self-acceptance. Maybe you light a candle each morning and set an intention for the day. Maybe you write a single line in a journal every night, celebrating one thing you did for yourself. Maybe you stand in front of the mirror and, even if it feels awkward, whisper, "I'm proud of you for surviving." You start to celebrate your quirks and flaws, seeing them as brushstrokes in the painting of your life. You realize that the things you once tried to hide are often the things that make you most unique, most memorable, most real. You let yourself laugh at your own jokes, dance to your own rhythm, and wear your favorite colors, even if no one else understands. You practice speaking your truth, even if your voice is soft at first. You learn to say what you mean, to ask for what you need, to set boundaries that protect your peace. You discover that honesty is a form of self-love, and that every time you honor your own voice, you grow a little stronger. You allow yourself to dream again. You give yourself permission to imagine a future that excites you, to set goals that matter to you, to pursue passions that light you up from the inside. You realize that your dreams are not selfish, they are seeds of your true self, waiting to be nurtured. You build a life that feels like home. You fill your days with people who see you, with activities that energize you, with spaces that comfort you. You let go of relationships and routines that drain you, even if it's hard. You trust that you deserve to feel safe, to feel loved, to feel at ease in your own world. You notice how your self-talk begins to shift. The voice that once criticized now encourages. The thoughts that once doubted now reassure. You become your own supporter, your own guide, your own friend. You forgive yourself for the times you abandoned your own needs. You let go of the guilt that kept you stuck, the regret that kept you looking backward. You remind yourself that you did the best you could with what you knew, and that every day is a new chance to choose differently. You start to see setbacks as part of the process, not as proof that you're failing. You understand that growth is not linear, that healing is not a straight line, that progress is made in spirals and circles, and sometimes even in pauses. You learn to trust your own timing. You stop comparing your journey to anyone else's. You accept that you are allowed to move at your own pace, to rest when you need to celebrate every victory along the way. You remind yourself, I am learning to honor my needs. I am allowed to take up space. I am proud of my progress, no matter how small. I am building a life that feels true to me. You create a safe space for your true self to emerge. You fill it with kindness, with patience, with forgiveness. You let yourself be messy, be imperfect, be human. You start to notice the beauty in your own journey. You see how far you've come, how much you've learned, how deeply you've grown. You realize that healing is not about erasing the past, but about weaving it into the tapestry of who you are becoming. You offer yourself the same compassion you would give to a friend. You hold your own hand through the hard days. You celebrate your own victories. You comfort your own fears. Practical step. Tonight, write a letter to your true self. Tell them what you admire about their courage, what you appreciate about their resilience, what you hope for their future. Seal it as a promise, a reminder that you are committed to loving and honoring who you are, no matter what. You are healing. You are growing. You are becoming someone who can look in the mirror and say, I am proud to be me. There is a quiet strength that grows in you when you finally stop running from yourself. It's not the kind of strength that shouts or demands to be seen. It's the steady, gentle power that lets you breathe a little deeper, stand a little taller, and move through the world with a sense of belonging to your own life. You begin to notice how your presence changes when you accept yourself. You no longer shrink to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. You stop apologizing for your feelings, your dreams, your voice. You realize that you have a right to take up space, to be heard, to be seen for who you truly are. You find peace in your own company. You learn to enjoy the sound of your own laughter, the comfort of your own silence, the rhythm of your own breath. You discover that solitude is not loneliness, it's a sanctuary, a place where you can recharge, reflect, and reconnect with your true self. You start to trust your own decisions, even when the outcome is uncertain. You listen to your intuition, that quiet whisper inside that guides you toward what feels right. You honor your instincts, even if they lead you down unfamiliar paths. You realize that you are capable of navigating your own journey, one step at a time. You become your own anchor in the storm. When life gets chaotic, when emotions run high, when the world feels overwhelming, you return to yourself. You ground yourself in your own presence, in your own breath, in the knowledge that you have survived every hard day so far. You remind yourself that you are your own safe place, that you can weather any storm with patience and grace. You let your true colors shine, even when it feels risky. You stop hiding the parts of yourself that make you unique. You celebrate your quirks, your passions, your dreams. You realize that authenticity is a form of courage, and that the world needs your realness, not your perfection. You notice how your relationships begin to shift. You attract people who respect your boundaries, who support your growth, who celebrate your authenticity. You let go of those who cannot meet you where you are, who expect you to be someone you're not, who cannot accept your truth. You find strength in your vulnerability. You allow yourself to be seen, to be known, to be loved for who you are, not just for what you can do or how you appear. You share your story, not to seek approval, but to offer hope to others who are still searching for their own. You start to dream bigger dreams. You allow yourself to imagine a future where you are not held back by self-doubt, where you pursue your passions, where you trust your own voice. You set intentions, not as demands, but as invitations to grow. You become your own advocate. You speak up for yourself, even when your voice shakes. You stand up for your own happiness, even when it feels unfamiliar. You choose to believe in your own potential, even when the path ahead is unclear. You find peace in the present moment. You stop waiting for everything to be perfect before you start living. You realize that you can have moments of joy even while you're still healing, that you can laugh even with a heavy heart, that you can love even with old wounds. You are not defined by your past. You are not limited by your fears. You are the author of your own story, the creator of your own future, the guardian of your own heart. You remind yourself, I am at peace with who I am. I stand tall in my truth. I let my real self be seen, even when it's hard. I am my own anchor in the storm. I trust my journey, even when the path is unclear. You begin to see that calm strength is not about never feeling afraid, it's about moving forward anyway. It's about holding your own hand through the uncertainty, about choosing to show up for yourself, about believing that you are enough just as you are. You are not alone in this journey. There are others who are learning, just like you, to trust themselves, to honor their truth, to live boldly in the world. As you move forward, you carry this calm strength with you. It is the quiet confidence that you can face whatever comes next. It is the gentle assurance that you are enough, just as you are. It is the steady belief that embracing your true self is not just possible, it is your birthright. Picture yourself at the edge of a vast ocean at dawn. The sky is painted with the first colors of hope, and the waves whisper a promise. You can begin again. You stand barefoot in the cool sand, feeling the earth steady beneath you, the horizon wide and open, inviting you to step forward as your truest self. You remember the storms you've survived, the nights when the world felt too heavy, the days when you doubted you'd ever see the sun again. But here you are, breathing in the salt air, letting the wind carry away the last remnants of shame and fear. You realize now that every wave that knocked you down was also teaching you how to rise. You gather the pieces of yourself you once scattered to please others, to fit in, to stay safe. You call them home one by one. The laughter you silenced, the dreams you abandoned, the voice you hid. You welcome them back, not as broken fragments, but as treasures reclaimed from the depths. You let your heart become a lighthouse, shining through the fog of old pain. You understand that your light was never lost, it was only waiting for you to turn it on again. You see that wholeness is not about being untouched by life, but about weaving every scar, every lesson, every moment of courage into a tapestry that is uniquely yours. You give yourself permission to write a new story, one where you are the hero, not the victim. You let your scars become your armor, not your prison. You choose to see your journey as a testament to your resilience, your willingness to keep moving forward, even when the path was unclear. You honor the bravery it takes to show up for yourself, to speak your truth, to stand in your own light. You celebrate the moments you chose authenticity over approval, self-respect over comfort, hope over resignation. You recognize that every act of self-acceptance is a revolution, every step toward your true self, a victory. You invite joy to return, not as a fleeting guest, but as a companion on your journey. You let yourself dance in the rain, sing in the shower, smile at your own reflection. You realize that happiness is not a reward for perfection, but a birthright you claim by simply being alive. You look in the mirror and see not just a survivor, but a creator. You see the strength in your eyes, the softness in your smile, the wisdom in your posture. You know now that you are enough not because you have no flaws, but because you have the courage to love yourself through them. You remind yourself, I am the architect of my own healing. I am worthy of love, even when I feel uncertain. I am allowed to be a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. I am proud of the person I am becoming, and I honor every step of my journey. You begin to trust that you can weather any storm, that you can navigate any sea, that you can find your way home to yourself no matter how far you've wandered. You know that embracing your true self is not a single moment, but a lifelong adventure, a series of choices to show up, to be real, to keep loving yourself, even when it's hard. You are not defined by your pain. You are defined by your willingness to rise, to learn, to keep moving forward. You are not lost. You are exploring. You are not broken. You are rebuilding. You are not invisible. You are shining in your own way. As you step into this new chapter, let this be your affirmation. I welcome my true self with open arms. I let my heart be my compass. I honor the journey, not just the destination. I am enough, exactly as I am, and I am worthy of every good thing that comes my way. Practical step. Tonight, stand in front of a mirror and look into your own eyes. Say out loud, I see you. I honor your journey. I am grateful for your courage. I am ready to embrace all that you are. Let this be your promise to yourself, a vow to keep showing up, to keep loving, to keep becoming. Question for the audience. What is one way you will honor your true self today? Share your answer in the comments. Let this be a space where your journey is celebrated, where your courage is witnessed, where your self-love is honored. You are not alone. You are not unfinished. You are not unworthy. You are seen. You are cherished. You are enough.